All right, are we live, Isa? It kind of cut out for a second. Okay, all right, everyone, we're live. Welcome to the Real Estate Game Changer show. Um, I'm your host, Mike McKay, based in Jacksonville, Florida, and each and every week we do this show with people who are changing the game of real estate all over the country. And this is a live show, guys. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments for our guest to answer. Um, if anyone is in the Jacksonville area and they're in sales and you're thinking about getting into real estate, we are looking for people for our acquisitions team. Send me a DM on Instagram if that sounds like you. And this week on the show, we have Cody Dover. Cody, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on?
Doing well, man. Uh, for the people who don't know you, could you tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate and how that's led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I would love to. And thanks, Mike. I'm 30 right now, and I started real estate when I was 23. And back then, we bought a course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that course, luckily, was really the trigger point to start everything for us. There wasn't really much content or value in the course as much as was just starting. And, getting into real estate, what I found that most people struggle with is that starting point. And so buying a course, we spent
Mm,
like 17,000 to get into it. And what that taught us was to go out and network and build the network of people who's already doing what you want to do. And so from there, we bought the course. We went into the local RIA meetups and whatnot. And from there, we just started gaining knowledge, building a network, getting trust, building identity with people. And we bought our first house in 2017, and then we ended up buying four more in the first 5 months. And so we actually
mm,
got turned down by the bank going for our sixth property. And this was back in 2017. We didn't know what we were doing. We're just doing the traditional put an offer in on the house, on market, and off you go. Well, we got turned down from the bank, and we didn't realize that there was this whole nother world out there of private money. And so
mm,
this is 2017. We're still kind of scratching the surface. And then we said, oh, well, if we can go buy a course in residential and buy five houses and make it work, well, what else out there could we go purchase and look into? And so from there, we were able to kind of get off track. Since we got turned down by the bank going after the sixth property, we said, oh, well, I guess we can't do this. Let's go find something else. And so we explored everything: multifamily, syndication, multi-level marketing, and all this different stuff that we call it the shiny object syndrome. And so
mm.
from there, we were able to scratch the surface on multifamily and apartments and syndicating and raising money. And we did that for about a year, and that didn't go anywhere. So it wasn't until about 2020, the end of 2000 or 2019, we ended up picking the residential game back up. But this time it was with a different approach. We came in with more of a sales and marketing approach than just make an offer on the market kind of thing.
Hmm.
And that's what really opened up the game for us, was understanding that you actually have to do sales and marketing to produce deal flow.
Hmm.
And why that's meaningful is because we're able to produce deal flow at a 50%, 60% off discount, versus back when we started buying property on the market in 2017. You're paying 80, 90 cents on the dollar. Well, when you produce your own deal flow, so long that you're building up your skills and capabilities, you can now negotiate better deals, get access to better deals that otherwise you wouldn't have. So
Mm.
the start of 2020, that's really what kickstarted everything for us. And I have a crazy stat here. We quit our jobs into 19, and beginning of 2020 we went into it full time. And everybody's used to having that W-2 safety net and getting paid every 2 weeks. Well, it was a scary moment for us. We didn't know what to
Mm.
do. Like, oh no! And then COVID comes. I'm like, oh dang! Nobody could expect what to happen, what would happen during the COVID years. But we had only did like four deals, I think, the first 6 months of 2020, and we're questioning ourselves. We're like, well, is this something that we can still do? Like, what's going on? Why aren't we making this happen? Um, Fast forward, we've done 350 plus deals now since 2020, and we ended up doing another 54 that same year. So in 6 months' time, we did 4 deals, and the rest of the 6 months of that same year of 2020, we did 54. And so something had obviously changed, and what changed was a few things, and that's something that I would like to get into on this call, just to maybe help other people out there getting going, trying to start
Yeah.
out.
Well, that was actually going to be my next question. So what changed?
There's a thing called commission breath, and
Mm,
sales people, all salespeople are is getting the commission and getting the sale closed. Well, what happened was two things. One, little to us, we didn't know that we were building up a pipeline. We're entering in this game as a sales marketing company now, and we're building up a pipeline of prospects. And
mm,
so we realized, oh, the four people that we have closed, they came in our system 6 months ago.
mm,
So we realized the whole time we're building up a pipeline of people that we had to continually to follow up with.
mm,
A lot of times you think that you call somebody, you want to get the deal that day, but it's not until you realize, and reflecting back, that we saw that all these people come from 4 months, 6 months earlier, that we had to continue to follow up with, build trust, increase our identity with, and also ultimately just help. Be of service to help their situation out, instead
mm,
of having commission breath and looking out for yourself to get a profit from the deal. It's like, how do you help this person out? And that's really
mm.
what kind of shifted for us.
Gotcha. So at this point, you've done a couple hundred deals in your business. Um, what were some of the major challenges along the way as you were scaling that up?
Dealing with the up and down, the inconsistent. 1 month you might have 5 deals, the other month you might have 20 deals, and
Mm,
it was the inconsistent that really had to, like, we had to keep ourselves of, you couldn't overspend in marketing on a couple of months knowing that the next couple of months you might be down. So the biggest thing
mm,
is just really staying with the fundamentals of what's got you here. And what got us here is just our beingness of who we're being to the sellers, and the value that we're able to provide. Um, and also it increased our trust. So like with the local marketplace, we're at a Little Rock, Arkansas. So I try to portray ourselves as just a local mom and pop guy, blue jeans, white t-shirt down the street. We're not this big corporate company. And
mm,
so the challenges we face was the inconsistent effort of the up and down. Um, and now today it's competition. It's the
mm,
out of state wholesalers are coming in, and they're getting houses locked up under contract for a retail price and trying to sell above retail, and they're having to back out and cancel on these sellers, and it's just causing a bad look for the people doing it right.
mm. That's something we can hit on is so that's something we run into a lot in Jacksonville too. And we have some strategies, and I'm curious to hear yours is how do you differentiate yourself? Because
Mm.
like you're going to come through. Obviously, you're going to come through because your offer is at a number that makes sense to sell the property
Mhm.
at or buy the property at. But how do you differentiate yourself from the person who's offering them the full retail price with wholesale terms, but ultimately backs out?
Yeah, and that's a good question. It all comes down to perception. Have you ever seen value? Can you go to the store and buy value? Can you put value in your back pocket? The answer is no. Value is an abstract notion, and
Mm,
so with that, it value is produced with assessments made by your listener. So if I'm the speaker talking to a seller in a situation, they're assessing me all along the way, just as much as I'm assessing them if they're a qualified prospect. And
mm,
so, what we've done to separate ourselves is really just be powerful in our narratives, and how we speak and talk to sellers, but also expose them to different options. You can't get anybody to do anything. In sales and real estate, we're not trying to get you, we're not trying to get one over on you. We're trying to just add value. And so at the end of the day, they can feel that sincerity, and the local, just the mom and pop feel of, we may not be your best fit, but here's what you can do. You can go to the market and list that house, but most time, sellers don't want to incur that cost. So understanding the seller's needs and concerns that they're in allow us to navigate a better conversation that's more quality. And in
Mm,
turn, I think that produces a more triggering response on their end to
mm,
open up and to build that trust that you're looking for when you're going against somebody who is offering 20,000 more, but they don't trust that person.
mm. Are you guys going out to the homes, or are you also making offers on the phone?
Yeah, it's in between. In 2021, we ended up doubling our productivity by sending out somebody to go take pictures for us, and then we would just negotiate and talk over the phone. But when
Mm,
things started slowing down, we got back out on the field to go out there to talk with sellers. But it's
mm,
still a mix right now. Some houses I don't go to and see. Some I go sit in the living room and have a conversation with an hour with a seller.
mm. How do you decide which ones you're going to go out to and which ones you're not?
That's a good question. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, and I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want to waste hours, but also I don't want to disqualify too soon either. And
Mm,
so it really just depends on the ones that we go out to, what the situation is for the seller, how much they
mm,
owe. If they owe too much, then I'll talk to them about doing subject to and just taking over the loan. And usually, what I'll do is explain um, why it's too much for us as a flipper. But here's what your options are as a seller if you're wanting to maybe do it yourself and go on the market. So
mm,
our goal is, we're not trying to get anybody. Our goal is to provide value along the way and
mm.
understanding that everybody is not the best fit for us, and we're not everybody's best fit either.
Yeah. What were some other challenges that you faced along the way of scaling the business?
Other challenges we faced. The challenges we face is you got people coming in offering retail price for a home that's as is at a lower price, and so trying to combat that and the competition is a
Mm,
challenge in itself, and that's something that we still face every day. Is a seller wants to be offered 120 on their house or they want 120, and people are giving them that all day long, but then not fulfilling on the contract. And so
mm,
it hurts the reputation of people like us who are doing it right and are explaining to sellers the value of their house. Yeah, you can get this, but you have to go through that to get this.
mm. Gotcha. I mean, how do you like what else have you done to kind of handle that issue and overcome it?
Get better at speaking. At the end of the day, we have a website that brings in a lot of leads, and we've been able to get on TV and be on commercials. So that's helped with local identification. Um,
Huh.
so essentially, just being a character in the marketplace that's providing value, I think will go a long
Mm,
way versus just trying to be the skilled salesman and superior in that way where you're trying to get somebody. Because
yeah.
at the end of the day, I may go on 5 appointments a week and maybe only get one or two. Now, I'm not the fit for everybody, and they know that going into it. So it's really just being
Yeah.
transparent. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people can identify trust with that.
What does your team look like at this point?
I'm a lean team. I like to keep it lean. I have one junior acquisition guy, and I have
Uh,
a VA in Bangladesh, and he does all of the admin office kind of work. And
uh,
then I have a cold caller who just calls on areas that we like to buy in and initiates the conversation. And then I have a property manager. So really a team
huh.
of four, maybe five. Um, that's pretty much it. I don't want to get too big an overhead on labor.
Yeah.
I'd rather find strategic partners and do maybe bigger deals like land development um,
Huh.
is what I'm after right now.
And the property manager is because you've kept a good amount of these as rentals throughout the business,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, so we cherry pick the best deals and keep for us, and we'll either flip it or keep it as a rental property. And so ultimately, I want to build in-house property management, and continue to build a portfolio of homes that we self manage.
Gotcha. What made you decide to do the management in-house versus getting like a third party to do that?
Control, control and influence. We're big on communication, and tenants like communication. I would speculate they want to know
Sure.
that their requests are being taken care of, and so having a third party title or a property management company, I mean, they're just not going to take the same care that you would as a manager
Mm,
of your own portfolio. So really, just the control and ability to influence and cast down the kind of the Chick-fil-A model, just the quality, I guess.
yeah, fair enough. Um, and then with like with team of that, like how do you handle construction then? Is that you or is that someone else?
Um, that's me.
Okay.
Having a good contractor. I mean, at the end of the day, all business is coordination and a production of coordination and communication. And so, I don't necessarily have to be at the property all the time to check up on it. I can request pictures. I can also stop in after hours.
Hmm.
So flipping a house is not too time consuming for us. Our contractors know what we're looking for, what we're up to. It's just one walkthrough on the front end to point out what we're going to do with this house, and that's it. So
Yeah.
it's really more of the practices that we've set up in place to double that productivity there.
Yeah. What kind of practices have allowed you to kind of double that productivity besides the one you obviously mentioned before?
Well, it's just the communication of having pictures, setting lock boxes on the property so that you're not having to physically go over there each time. That's a practice. Communicating, sending pictures, having a standard of what you're going to do to each property. This color paint, these floors, this kitchen, this bath. So just having a standard operation. I mean, it allows for more freedom and flexibility on the back end when it comes time to managing it.
Yeah. And how were you able to, because I know it's a struggle for some people, we've also been pretty fortunate as well that we've always had great contractors, but I'm curious how you went about finding your great contractors.
Yeah, some have come to us just from our identity, and then others we've reached out to. But for the most part, I'm always looking to add talent to the team.
Hmm.
So let me backtrack. You had asked, what does your team look like? One of my sales guy, Jack, I met him in Uber. He was my Uber driver, um,
Huh.
and we just kicked it off and started talking. And he had just graduated college and working at an insurance company for commission only. So I knew that I could at least compete with that offer and do some kind of salary plus commission. And so
Mm,
with Jack, it's always identifying and looking out for talent where you can see it, and then bring on board. Because ultimately, I want a lean team and more so have strategic partners in different domains to where
mm,
I'm partnering on larger transactions versus just having a huge overhead of staff.
yeah. How did you know that he would be a good sales guy when he was your Uber driver?
Yeah, that's good. The fact that he was able to take a position out of college on commission only without a base shows me that he was willing to go get it. I mean that should say a lot on somebody that's willing to go get a commission only job
Hmm.
um, versus having base. And he could talk well. He was articulate, and so it's just one thing led to another.
Yep. Cool. Um, and then you were saying you kind of cherry pick the rentals and flips you guys want to do, and I'm guessing is it wholesale the rest for the most part, or
Wholesale, novate, buy and hold, flip. Yeah,
gotcha. What makes you decide to keep a property as a rental? Like, what's your criteria?
yeah. I really don't have a set criteria. There's two properties that here I have currently right now that I was flipping that I'm going to end up keeping.
Mm,
So it really just depends on the situation, how much revenue I have coming in this month versus how much do I have in the pipeline. So there's no one set standard as to like I don't have a formula or anything that I use. It's more of a,
Hmm.
where am I at today and what's in the pipeline.
Yeah. And then you were talking before about, some marketing stuff like you do. You've got your website that you built up a lot. You're doing some stuff on TV. Like, you want to talk a little bit more in detail? Because you've done 300 plus deals. I mean, that's, you must have done quite a bit of marketing to bring in all those leads.
Yeah. Uh, I guess what's your question around that? You just want me to expand on the inbound?
Yeah, like everyone's kind of got a different approach to it. Why did you decide to go with the channels you did, and like maybe how has that shifted over the course of your business?
Yeah. So the channels, in marketing, you have inbound and outbound.
Hmm.
And we've realized that inbound is a more lower cost way of time and energy versus going out and trying to reach people who may not even be a market for your offer. So focusing on inbound has allowed us to increase our time that we have to then go create new offers or design new practices to be in. So inbound, we started out outbound, cold
Hmm.
call, text, all that. But
Hmm.
as we've grown, we've positioned to more inbound only, to where now we're building up an identity marketing to where we have people come into us. And for me, I would rather work with somebody that's has sought us out to
Hmm.
seek us out with situation they're in for us to help solve their problem, versus going calling, following up people who may be interested.
Yeah. And you mentioned there, like, you've kind of created this identity. You want to expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I mean, you've heard the saying in business: people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And I
Hmm.
think trust is a really big factor in a lot of transactions. I mean, you had asked something earlier I was going to hit on. Like, one question we ask sellers is like, how would you know you're working with the right buyer? How would you know you're working with the right party?
Hmm.
Um, because this person may be offering you 20,000 more. Have they even seen the property? Are they out of state? Do you trust them? How come? And so trust is a big factor, not only for me, but I don't want to have to look over my shoulder at the end of the night to realize, and I want to make do right by everybody and to everyone, so that I can
Hmm.
sleep at night. And so just building up that trust and identity, just it goes a long way, and it helps me when I'm the one negotiating or talking with the seller,
Hmm.
um, to have that identity with them, so that I'm not going against the grain, I guess, against to make it harder for me.
Hmm.
Um, and it's okay. We're okay not having a deal, so long that I can help you and provide you options and expose you different ways to go about this. Then we're good. I understand that I'm not going to get every deal, but at the end of the day, we're a for-profit enterprise,
Hmm.
and at that same token, we also provide superior help. Now, not everybody needs our help, and there's also people
Hmm.
out there who don't even know our help exists. So at the end
Hmm.
of the day, if I can continue to build an identity, then those people may start to know us, or our services will sell themselves.
Yeah. What like strategies have you used to create and build up that identity for your brand?
Accomplishments first. In order to have some sort of trust, one must produce accomplishments. Like, you don't go to your doctor and do a hip surgery if your doctor hadn't been through doctor school. Same with flying a
Sure.
plane. You don't get on a plane if the pilot hasn't passed his piloting license. I don't know, but so the trust comes through accomplishments, and our accomplishments have allowed us to build that identity to
Hmm.
showcase, like, hey, we know how to think and act in this capacity, in this situation.
Hmm.
We can do this.
And when you say accomplishments, that means like homes bought, or is that like, awards won, or, local, like, what do you mean specifically?
Yeah, I mean, that's good. Accomplishments, just I guess the the number of people we've been able to help out of a situation that they find our offer superior.
Mm, gotcha. And then how do you use that to kind of like brand for like the future so that you kind of get more people coming your way if you guys have done that?
Yeah, I haven't really done that to satisfactory. I'd like to do more of it,
Yeah,
um, but more so just highlighting case studies, scenario situations like um, sellers that we worked with in the past, and providing a case study to show what happened here and whatnot.
gotcha. Okay. And then does any of that kind of tie into your marketing in terms of building your brand? Or are you doing any stuff around that or
I'm a one kind of a one man show, pretty lean, so I haven't had the time to build that out as
yeah,
much as I would like to. Um,
gotcha.
yeah,
It sounds like you guys have done pretty well, and I took a look at your website before the show. It sounds like you guys do fairly well in driving traffic to your website for deals.
yeah. hmm
That's something that it's been a while since we talked about on the show with someone, but how have you guys gone about, getting your website ranked and being able to, drive a lot of traffic and leads through that?
Yeah, it's just having a really good digital marketer guy that knows what he's doing, or gal. We're fortunate to have Josh Eberly at Data Point. He's been a family friend of ours um, since we started. And so when we started this, we started with PPC and SEO as our main
Huh.
channel, and then ventured out. And so we've had time on the clock. Like it takes time to grow your SEO. I mean, we've been doing it for since 2019 now. So 4 or 5 years, we've been doing content articles, adding DR links with higher DR rankings to our website. So it's just a little tactics that he knows what to do, but it's just hiring somebody in that expertise.
Gotcha. For the listeners who maybe don't know what a DR link is, can you explain what that is?
Just a domain authority, like Google or Amazon or like Facebook or Rocket Mortgage. They might have a higher ranking authority. So when the
Hmm.
Google algorithm notices, oh, you got a link back from Rocket Mortgage, oh, you must be trustworthy. And so we're getting credible links built up, that like link back to our website.
Gotcha. Okay. What's your vision for the business for the next 3 years?
Right now, I'm going through a land development. We're building a subdivision, and so what I'm after
Shoot.
is doing less for more.
Okay.
Yeah, so less for more. With us creating a more of an inbound company, I see ourselves going into the commercial land development space while continuing to keep afloat or keep active the current leads come to us and helping out where we can. But ultimately, what I want to do is build a portfolio, have it free and clear, and earn a lot of active income through various projects.
Gotcha. You want to talk a little bit how that deal came together, the deal that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so I'm in a mastermind called Collective Genius, and there's some guys in there who are doing land stuff. And so I've been privy or interested in looking into, what are they doing? And so I had lunch with a gentleman who is well accomplished here in Little Rock, and he said, "Hey, you need to target these areas to build subdivisions and houses." And so I just sent out letters to people in that area and got a call back. So I
Mm,
just applied the same fundamentals of what I do in single family, and just copy and pasted that to another domain, which was
mm.
land. And so I was just marketing to people with 10 to 100 acres. And so through the CG network, I was able to acquire knowledge around how to back into the numbers and understand lot cost and development cost per lot. And we're able
Hmm.
to get 12 acres under contract. We're going to develop 30 lots and sell to DR Horton.
Wow. Okay. Gotcha. So where are you? And I'm not that familiar with land development. Like, where are you in that process currently?
So we've gone through the preliminary approval process with the city. and the contract is contingent upon getting approved by the city and also getting an LOI by the end builder, D.R. Horton. So we purchased the land come November 1st, but we've already got a plat drawn and a city approval process for the plat, which is the 30 lots and where they're situated on the land.
Hmm.
And so once we're good with that, we'll buy the land and then start the development side.
Gotcha. So when you say start the development side, what like specifically happens once you get to that stage?
So we got to clear out the land, make it level, flat, bring in the utilities, the water, the sewer, um, infrastructure, sidewalks, gutters, roadways.
Hmm.
So basically, getting it shovel ready for the builder to come in and build. And for the longest, I'm still new to this as well and learning the ins and outs. But for the longest, I didn't realize that there was a distinction between a developer and a builder.
Hmm.
The developer is the one who tears up the dirt and brings in the infrastructure, and the builder is the one who builds vertical.
Gotcha. So you guys are going to take it all the way through the horizontal construction stage, but you already
Mhm.
have like an LOI or maybe something even more serious in place from the builder, so you kind of know you're good on it once it's
Yeah,
complete.
yeah. So all we're basically doing is fulfilling on it. We'll come in and fulfill on the work to bring in the subdivision to bring it about, and then they
Uh-huh.
come in and build. So we've got an LOI in place, and what that does is help the banks. So when we go raise money or go get debt on this, it,
Yeah.
it shows a promising builder to back us up, I guess, through the banks.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. Is there a
Mhm.
way to raise money, with banks
Mhm.
for that type of deal? Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Gotcha. What made you explore that route?
Well, I am after doubling my income. And so, in order to double my income, I must change the practices that I'm in and the offers I make and the help that I provide.
Hmm.
And so, that was an effort to increase what I'm after is more for less. We've done 100 plus deals in a year, and I would like to not do that type of volume. I'd rather do 10 to 20 deals a year, but make those
Hmm.
really big deals.
Yeah. What are the challenges that come with doing that type of volume, the 100 plus deals a year?
A lot of emotional wear and tear. I'm sure you experience this. If you're closing deals, you get to the week of closing. There's just a lot of oh no's and what ifs and things that could happen. And it's just a lot of stress and a lot of emotional wear and tear on your body to go through something like that when you're doing, 20, 30 deals a month.
Yeah. Gotcha. Um, and then, obviously things have shifted a lot. I mean, I don't know your market, but things have shifted certainly a lot here and call it the last 20 months or so. What have you changed in your business if things have shifted in your market?
That's good. I mean, it's shifted, and where it shifted is the activity of buyers buying.
Hmm.
So it's easy to buy a house right now, but it's harder to sell a house.
Hmm.
So what shifted is, well, I've got to stay to the fundamentals, and the fundamental is so long that you buy the house right on the front end,
Hmm.
then there's multiple exits on the back end. And
Hmm.
so understanding and even conversating with sellers like, hey, we're not in that kind of market now. Prices are going down, not up. And so I usually bring in examples of what I'm facing on the market. I have 5 houses listed. Each week I'm having to decrease the price, and I'm just bringing that forth, that narrative forth for them to listen to hear like, hey, like you can let this sit, but prices are going down, not up. And so what we've done just to combat that is just get better prices on the front end.
Hmm. What has changed on like the wholesale disposition side for you guys?
Nothing really. Um, I don't really market properties. I don't parade people through. I
Hmm.
have maybe two or three investors I work with, and I'm one of them. So I essentially wholesale myself the product or the property.
Sure.
And if I
Yeah.
don't, then I sell it to one or two other investors or a hedge fund. So I really don't work with a lot of buyers. It's more so me and a few other people.
Gotcha. Because there's people who are the total opposite of that, right?
Mhm.
What made you decide to kind of take that approach versus having a million buyers and trying to
Yeah,
maximize
it's the
dispositions?
cost. It's the cost of the time, energy, and bandwidth, and now structure. Now I have to have somebody on that in that role, in that seat, to
Mm,
now go after people with needles in the haystack to maybe make 5,000, and
mm,
it's just not worth it. Like we realized that the more quality eats quantity. And
mm,
so that's something that I just made up, but it's kind of where my business mission is we want to have quality properties, quality product, quality people, whether that's sellers, buyers, investors, whoever. And I forgot where I was going with that. Yeah. Anywho.
Well, we're talking about having million buyers on your list versus,
Oh yeah,
kind of
the cost.
your
Yeah.
method. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something on that. Being in Little Rock, for some reason, whoever's selling all these courses on YouTube and whatnot, and are bringing up Little Rock, we have an influx of new wholesalers coming in, and it's easy to get properties locked up, but it's hard to sell. And so these people are exhausting all their resources, their time, their energy, their efforts to sell a property they can't sell.
Mm, yeah. Gotcha. And you mentioned like you also sell some stuff to hedge funds. Are they still kind of active in Little Rock or?
Yeah, um, all the people I sell to are still buying. Um, So that hadn't changed. The retail market is the only thing that slowed down is
Mm,
the retail activity and buyers on that side.
gotcha. Besides obviously getting the homes at a better price, are you changing anything, um, on the selling side or construction side to help those homes sell better besides just pricing them more aggressively?
Yeah, making them a little nicer. And instead of just doing paint and floors, now you might redo the kitchen, the bathroom, add some granite countertops, and do different pools, fixtures. I'm doing that, fans, lights. So I think you're just getting it at a better price, better quality, and sell for a lesser price.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I've noticed something that you said has kind of been like a theme throughout the call is like you seem to be very conscious of kind of the effort that you're putting into different things.
Mm,
Like you said a few times, like, that's kind of why you shifted to inbound. And then you were talking about also on the disposition side, like, that's a lot of like energy, right? If you do it that
mm.
way. I, I'm curious, like, how did you, I guess, like, how did that become a theme in kind of what you do?
Yeah. That's good. Good question. I mean, for us, it's being intentional. Um, Business is an avenue to create money, and we know growing up that money's not everything. Well, it also pays for our bills and future. So money is something, but I'll agree it's not everything. And
Mm,
so for me, I want to have a lifestyle and have the space and the time to create, to design, to build, to give back, to be a father, to be a husband, and a family guy. And so for me, it's just it could be lazy, it could be strategic, but I think it's a blend of both. And it's both being lazy and being strategic at the same time to create uh, an income at a low cost.
have you always had that mindset of kind of being very conscious of like kind of where you put your energy, or was there a point in your life or career that made you make that shift?
Yeah, so I'm involved. Not only am I with CG, I'm also involved in another discourse called AJI, and AJI is more around business fundamentals. And what that's done is orient and kind of reshape how I think and act, and it's
Mm,
allowed me to see where I can design by intention
Mm,
and not just react to the day to day and what everybody else is doing.
cool. When did you get involved in that?
2020. So I met a
Okay.
guy at a poker table in Vegas at New Year's,
Huh.
and he was. It was like I had stayed up all night. We left the party, the club, whatever, and I went to go play poker at 1 a.m. And so I started at 1 a.m. The guy that I met, he was just waking up at 6 a.m. to come down to play, and so we met up with him the next morning for coffee and just talked to him. And he said, "Hey, you should look into this." And this was Aji. And at the time, we didn't know this guy. We didn't know his credentials, accomplishments, or whatever. I just met him at the poker table. And
Mm,
so he said, "Look into this." Well, we didn't. Who's going to look into that? We don't know him. 2, 3 months later, we checked in with him. He said, "Hey, did you look into it?" No. Well, now that he's brought it up again, okay, maybe we can look into it. Don't mean we have to do anything. And so we did. We looked into it and we bought it, and it's like another course in 2020.
mm,
And so their claim is double your productivity, value, and income.
mm,
And so, in order to double, well, you can't be in the same practice you were in last year if you're earning, say, $1 million. In order to earn 2 million,
mm,
you just cannot be in the same practice there. Something's got to change. Your
mm,
networks, the knowledge, your effort, the practices that you're in, strategies. And so orienting that around how we operate in the business has helped us be more intentional.
mm. What are some things you changed after you kind of went through that program? What were some of the first things?
Noticing, really, just noticing where we're at and what we're up to. And one of the big things was on productivity side was sending out somebody else to go on property visits for us instead of ourselves. Because
Mm,
we knew if we're going out to properties and we're losing time on the sales floor calling new prospects.
mm, yep,
So that was one
for
thing that
sure.
changed. And it's really just an orientation, a way to see things differently.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool. Well, we're getting close to the end here, and there's always two questions I like to ask
Yeah.
at the end of the show. The first one is, what is the craziest or most uncomfortable situation that you have ever experienced in a real estate deal?
I was on the phone with I was on with some partners, and it was a phone call, and I pulled up to my rental property that's supposed to be vacant. The tenants had just left, and there's a guy standing at the door. And so I'm like, oh, dang, what is this? What's going on? I kind of freak out a little bit. I put my phone on mute. I'm on a conference call, and they're all wondering where I went to. And here I am talking to this homeless guy that had broke in and is now squatting or like living there on an air mattress. Well, long story short, I ended up giving him some money to take care of himself to like get some food and whatever, but he needed to be out by Monday. Um,
Mm,
and so I was just, for me, it was just nerve wracking to know like I'm in this house. I could be stranded or trapped, and I don't know who's all in this house. But he showed me, hey, I'm just sleeping back here. Here's my mattress, whatever, whatever. Um, and that's not super crazy. I'm trying to think of another story. I'm not a Hollywood film writer, so I don't have the drama. But um, just dealing with squatters is really the biggest, I guess, hassle we've come across.
yeah, yeah, we run into that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And second question I always like to ask is, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice when you were looking for that first real estate deal, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Um, I'm big on networks and knowledge. I know I look back at my own career and just see like what would have been like if we didn't buy that course. If I didn't buy that
Mm,
course, where would I be? Because that was really the ultimate starter package, like the trigger point to start. Because I mean, who spends
hmm
17,000, 18,000 on something and then not act on it? Now you're just sitting on a lot of debt. So luckily, we had to act on something. And so for me, starting over again, It's like just go out there and act. You're going to get in your head about why you can't do X, Y, and Z. And the moment you start talking to other players in the game, you begin to couple to their narratives, their knowledge, their
Mm,
networks, their private money lenders, their contractors. So get out there and show up. And for us, that's what I would recommend to myself starting over is where all can I show up and how often?
mm. I think that's a great piece of advice. Um, Cody, if people want to reach out to you after the show, if they have any questions or maybe they got a property they want to sell you, how can they go about doing that?
I am a mom and pop kind of guy. Just holler at me on my phone, 501-580-3035. Shoot me a text, call, whatever. Um, we can talk.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.